This is Mirabella's kitchen, and today I'm making grilled cheese and tomato soup. If you'd like to cook with me, please check the description below for a list of the ingredients and a shout out to my Patreons. I start by prepping the tomato soup. I take one large yellow onion and finely dice it. I smash 4 cloves of garlic with the flat edge of my meat tenderizer. I found it to be very effective. Shout out to the piece of garlic that flew into the nether. I take a large saucepan, heat it over medium heat, and add 1/2 stick of salted butter and let it melt. I then add the diced onion and the smashed garlic, and I stir until everything is coated in the melted butter. And I let it cook for 5 to 8 minutes until it starts to soften, become translucent, and brown slightly at the edges. I then add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and stir that in really well. And I add about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. I add 2 28-ounce cans of whole peeled tomatoes and their juices. I let the tomatoes cook for about 10 minutes until they start to soften, and then I smash them with my wooden spoon. And I take my trusty immersion blender to blend this soup so it's nice and smooth. I turn the heat down to low and I start blending. I ended up using all 3 speed settings.
2 hours later.
And after what felt like an eternity, I finally got it to the consistency I wanted. If you have a regular blender, I'm sure it'll be a little faster. This is creamy tomato soup, so I add a cup of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons sugar, 1 tablespoon coarse kosher salt, and 6 turns of freshly ground black pepper. I mix everything together until it's nice and homogeneous, and I cook it over low to medium-low heat for 10 to 20 minutes until it starts to thicken. I take a loaf of my homemade Italian bread, and I will link the recipe in the description. I use 24 pieces. I'm cooking for 4 people, 3 mini grilled cheeses per person, so that's 6 pieces per person. I start by taking very softened room temperature butter, it can be salted or unsalted, and very generously buttering one side of each piece of bread. I'm going to prepare this in batches, so I take 3 slices of Gruyere cheese that has already been sliced and fold it on itself and put it on 1 slice of bread. I then take 2 slices of Havarti cheese, fold it in on itself, and place it on the next piece of bread. And I take 3 slices of Vermont cheddar cheese, fold it in on itself, and place it on the final piece of bread. We're going to cook in batches of 3, 1 of each type of cheese. And then I take another 3 pieces of bread and generously butter one side of it, the side that will not be touching the cheese and will be grilled. I take a non-stick skillet, heat it over medium-low heat, and add a little extra butter in, melt it, and then I add 3 of the grilled cheeses at a time. I do 1 of each cheese. I cook it for about 5 minutes to get that really beautiful quintessential golden brown color. It will be dependent on your stove and how it heats, so really use your senses and try not to burn it. I then cook it for another 3 to 4 minutes to brown the other side and finish melting the cheese. After they are completely nice and beautiful, I remove them onto a cooling rack. This is to help the air circulate to prevent soggy bread and have a really crisp bread. And for some cheese pulls, I have a nice Gruyere, a really nice Havarti. Unfortunately, the cheddar really didn't have much of a cheese pull, but it did really taste good. So pair that with a bowl of tomato soup for some dipping and for your pleasure. And that's grilled cheese. Thanks for joining me today. I make new videos on cooking every Wednesday. Please support me on Patreon and on Facebook at Mirabella's Kitchen.